Hey, this is Stacia, and I'm gonna share my round three game from the Cleveland Open. I am gonna tell you that this tournament was not so good for me. I started off with two losses, both of which were not too uplifting. I actually wanted to withdraw from the tournament, to be honest, but I decided that if I just withdraw, then the tournament's a complete disaster, and that's that. What I really should do is pick myself up, go in there, and see if I can try to get a win. So I actually did go back for my third game, and this is the first slow time control as well. The other ones were G60, which is pretty slow, but now it was like 80 minutes for the first 40 moves, followed by 30-minute for sudden death, and a 30-second increment, which is the best part. Okay, so I played Mike Amarante. I'm not sure his exact rating, but it was somewhere in the lower 1800s, I believe. And so here we go. Yeah, he actually played a King's Gambit. And so I was like, okay, cool. I was excited to see it until he played Bc4. I was like, oh no, not this one. So I've had trouble with this in the past. And I also don't study it. I always mean to study it, and then I never do. So the limited experience that I have with this line was me with Michael Jolson analyzing at Progressive Chess. And he told me that Grandmaster Anatoly Lane liked to play the move knight to c6 here. In the past, I have played knight to f6, and I have tried to go into stuff like this, just fighting for the d5 square. But it gets, well, I don't think I understood the positions, so I decided not to go for that, and I did play this move that I figured Anatoly Lane plays this way, so let's see if I can. Knight to c6. Okay. So now knight to f3 was played. Now, I can't go into my normal lines against knight to f3 because my normal lines were d5 and knight f6, not knight c6. So, I did play knight to f6 anyway, but here he could play e5. He went knight to c3. Okay, and I think, my goal in the opening, if I don't know the opening, I just want to follow opening principles. I just want to develop my pieces to the best squares possible and castle. Get my king safe, put pawns in the center if I can. So I'm pretty much fighting for d5. I'm going to put my knights on these squares, and I'm saying, if you play e5, I'm ready for that. So here I thought, if e5, I might go d5. So I played bishop b4. He went e5. Yeah, and here I was like, okay, why can't I go g5? So I did. The knight and the queen are supporting this. So there is sufficient coverage for that. And I thought if he went en passant, I think I'm fine with that. I would probably take with the queen. Now my queen's developed. I don't think that this is like a huge problem. So, why not just queen d7 or whatever? Let's see what the engine says. Wow, the engine says queen c5, black's winning. Oh yeah, and I also saw I have this check too. So I definitely thought that's not really an option. So if we went into that line, I would be pretty comfortable. So he actually did not take en passant. Instead, he chose to take my knight. Yeah, and I was convinced that I must be fine here because I get the bishop. And yeah, he threw in the check, but I have bishop e6, and I don't think he can do much with that. He could try knight to g5 here. But if knight g5, well, I can take here, and I'm defending that again. So I don't think this is any concern to me at all. This is probably really good. So he did this, which is the most testing. And now I have to go rook g8. Of course, I did calculate this. Now, I may retake the pawn soon, but really, I want to get my king safe, which means I need to get my queen out and castle queenside. He went a3. And now here is actually my first, well, I'll call it blunder of the game, because the engine calls it a blunder. Well, I'll call it a serious mistake. Because, I mean, I shouldn't give my bishop away for no reason. And also, I failed to realize something here. I played this move, but the problem with this is now I don't have two bishops anymore. That's one problem. Another problem is I just helped white. I just helped white big time. This pawn was sort of like blocking the bishop, blocking the d file, blocking the queen. It's in the way. So when they get to take here, yes, they have double pawns, but now, you know, they're on that. They can maybe castle this way more easily now. The rook will come to the d file. So all of that looks really good for white. So taking like that was just like really careless on my part. I was, my mindset was wrong, is what I'm going to say. So I need to be more objective in my games. I was like so scared about the bishop c4 king's gambit, having nightmares about past losses, that I was just like, ooh, good, I'll just take the knight now, you know, and that's it. I'll castle. I'll play queen f6 and I'll castle, and that's it. I'm fine. But I should have been more ambitious, because black's actually -3 here. Yeah. All we have to do is back the bishop up. Yeah, try to find a move for white. It's not so easy. It's not easy at all. This looks really annoying, actually. Yeah, I mean, where are you going to put your king? Right? Like, are you going to go here? I mean, I'm going to take that, and then that doesn't look fun. Also, you can't. So, are you going to go queenside? If you go here, you know, trying to do that, I take it. You know, I don't know. None of this is looking good. Everything's fractured and broken. It's very difficult to find good moves for white. I mean, the engine gives rook f1. I mean, I don't even know what that is. They're protecting the knight? Like, what is that? So, okay. I definitely made a serious mistake here by not looking more closely. All right, and then queen f6. Yeah, my idea was like, hey, I'm going to castle and I'm fine. That was my idea. Now, I've got these pawns, but yeah, I don't know. I am going to win this one. I don't see how black holds on to that. So I'll be up a pawn, but I have two pawns that are like really shaky and hard to defend. So, okay, bishop d2. I think we both had the same idea. We want a castle. I took that pawn. Pretty simple chess right now. And rook h to g1. So, okay, I want rook here. Let's double up. This is a weakness for white. It's not so easy for them to push, because then I get to trade off my weak pawn, and you know, and then I'll still win that. So that's good. So we want to apply pressure there. And I actually like this move by my opponent. The engine doesn't like it though, I see. Okay, but yeah, bishop e1, I was like, what is that? I'm like, I should do something forcing now. But I actually failed to see his idea. His idea was to put the bishop on f2. and make it active there, I pinned the knight. And after bishop f2, I was like, oh, wait a minute. The rook's protected. Like, I kind of missed that because I was getting ready to take or even go oops, sorry about that. Or even go bishop h3. Yeah, like bishop h3. Because I thought it would be pinned, but it's not pinned. It's actually protected. So, okay. So I went queen e6. I'm like, hey, let's trade queens, you know? If we trade, you fix my pawns for me. So that seems good, you know? And then maybe I will have this at some point. I mean, this is an endgame I can go into as well. So we can always assess that endgame. Okay. So the queen moved, attacking that pawn. So I defended it. Then he went that way, attacking that pawn. I was like, hey, stop it. But I actually didn't say that. Yeah, so here, it's basically a critical moment. And, well, I analyzed this with National Master Ralph Tan. And, you know, I asked him, I'm like, should I have fought on here? Like, I don't know what to do. He's going to keep attacking my pawns. Like, what do I do to fight for a win here? And he said that he's a big fan of Black's position because the pawns on c4 and f4 are very restrictive. White can't easily do any pawn breaks. White would love to play g3 or b3, and both are very hard to play. You know, if they play b3, you know, and I take and they take, that's that pawn structure, which would be those pawns on c3, b3, a3. That's a lot of weaknesses around the king. Too much, probably. So that's not going to work. And this isn't going to work either because I trade my pawn off. So it's really hard for white to move. So he was a big fan, and he also liked what he called this ending with bishop takes knight. And, well, I mean, I went here first, and then he went here. And then Ralph said I should play bishop takes knight. That's what he thought. Because if I take, they take, we trade. They could take with the bishop. And in this position, he even mentioned the move, if I'm not mistaken, b5, or it may have been in a different position. But just getting everything nice and solid, and we're going to play out this ending. You know, one of the weaknesses is solidified. Now we just have to worry about that one. And I guess that, and I guess that. But he thought Black could press here, and he thought Black was better. Unfortunately, I was lower on time than my opponent. And coming off 2 losses, I was like, okay, like, if I draw a high-rated player, like, I stop the bleeding, you know? So I actually repeated and offered a draw. So I hate to say it, but this is how it actually went. Where is it? Oh, it was here. Yeah, here I offered a draw. I had 13 minutes left to his 25 minutes. And so, oh, I'm sorry. He offered the draw. But yeah, I took it. I did not know how to make progress without losing a pawn. But taking the knight was possible. You know, if I had more time, I actually would have tried that. But I do think that maybe that was pretty lame on my part. But on the other hand, it did break my losing streak. So it's hard to argue with that either. So, you know, take a draw against a higher rated player. 200 points higher rated, in fact. So, yeah, and then I was ready for round 4. So I thought I played a better game and ready for round 4. And I'll be back more chess. See you then. Bye.